Hello and welcome to this class on common digital marketing terms. I know especially if you're new to digital marketing, it almost sometimes feels like people are speaking a different language when you're talking about marketing. They talk about the SERPs and getting good results in the SERPs and getting a good CTR. What's the CPC on that paid search campaign? Today, I just want to demystify some of the most common terms and really put them in this one forum because I know we've thrown around a good bit of terms when we went through the different channels in the marketing mix and some different areas and other classes. We brought up a lot of these terms, but I just wanted to refocus on them and give you a solid deep dive into them, or at least the most common terms, because there is even more than this, but these are the ones that I believe are most common that you'll encounter most likely in your digital marketing career. So without further ado, CTA, call to action, that's very important and one that you'll hear a lot. So a call to action would be on the landing page of a site to fill out a form, or something like apply for this term life policy today, and then there's a button to click on to start your application process. Another call to action could even be phone numbers, anything that, as it sounds, that brings a user to action that's on your site or even within the ad. Having a call to action within the ads are another thing we talk about a lot. Spurring the person that lands on your display ad to click through to the site. Give them a compelling reason to do that. So calls to action are very important in digital marketing and something you'll hear a lot. The CTR, there's a lot of ones that acronyms that begin with C. That's a whole first part of this here. The CTR, or the click-through rate, is the percent of people that click on your ad links. So when you have a display ad or a paid search ad, it's the percentage of the people who view the ad and click it. So to find this, you divide clicks divided by impressions. So then we'll move on to another C1, cost per acquisition. Now this is a pricing model. So different. It's a pricing model by conversion. So say if you just sell your advertising package, that they only pay based on every time there's an online sale, it costs this much, or a form submission. In one way, I know cost per click is how paid search is done, but I know Google does have the option to do cost per acquisition bidding, where you'll bid on them by acquisition as opposed to clicks. So that's cost per acquisition, a pricing model. Cost per click is another pricing model that's used. It's definitely used a lot in paid search, but occasionally in other forms of media it's used as well. So basically, the cost per click, when you're running a paid search campaign, say if you're working with an agency, you would say, hey, I'm a bank, I want to do paid search. How much is that going to cost me? How much should I spend on it? What we would do is get estimates from Google's keyword planner. So we could select, the city that we live in, or just do it US based in general. But typically you would do, a domestic area, a DMA of like a city. And you would then type in 10 or so keywords related to your business. And then Google would give you a list of related terms as well as yours and give you the average, cost per click for the type of terms you want to target. So say, for example, you're an industry that, we run the numbers and we see that you have it looks like an average of $5 cost per click. What we would do in this case, say if you have a $1,000 budget, you would do 1,000 divided by 5, and you could estimate around 200 clicks for a budget of $1,000 if it's a $5 cost per click. So that's how that works. Moving on to another pricing model, CPMs, or cost per thousand, and this is by impressions when you do CPMs, cost per thousand impressions. It's a pricing model where you're charged by the number of times your ad appears per 1,000 impressions. So for example, if you have a $1,000 budget and a $10 cost per 1,000, you would get 100,000 impressions for that $1,000 that you spend on your display ads. And that's another way to measure your results and make sure you're getting your money's worth. If you're working with an agency, say, hey, I thought we were, they set the expectation that you're going to likely get 1,000 impressions for that, or 100,000 impressions for that $1,000. So at the end of the month, when you view your report, you could double check to make sure that you got the results you were expecting. And if not, what you can tweak to get better results. And as we said before, when you do things like, say if you were basing the campaign, in this instance, on a cost per 1,000, in basing it on impressions, but then you decide, you know what, we really want to drive traffic to the site. I know we've been doing impressions, but let's work this month to drive more clicks. Then when you look at your report at the end of the month, you're likely going to see less impressions than that, because with this, the person running your campaign, when you do cost per 1,000 impressions and you're focused on impressions, you're going to be optimizing the campaign differently than when you're optimizing for clicks or for even phone calls. So that's something to factor in. In that case, what I would say in the monthly reports you would look for is, okay, so how much did the clicks improve from the month prior when we were basing it on impressions to this month? So you may see you get 80,000 impressions, but you get twice as many clicks. So in your mind, that should be a win if you want to be more focused on clicks in that case. So that's just kind of a way to see these things. Conversions are obvious when the visitor takes a desired action. So conversions can be clicks throughs to the site. You could even count that as a conversion, but it's more focused usually on form submissions, phone calls, even sales a lot of times. There was a life insurance client I had that their big conversion that they wanted was term life applications. And even within there, we drilled in to, we would count a form start as a conversion and a form completion as a conversion. So this way, that helps protect the advertiser side, because it's like, hey, we're leading the horse to water. Maybe your form's too long and that's why they're not drinking. But we're leading that horse to water. We're doing what we need to do because through our ads, we're bringing them to your landing page. They're starting that form, but they're not going all the way through. Something you need to check out on the fixing your form, making it easier to fill out or something. Obviously, wouldn't say it like that to a client. Impressions, number of times your ad appears. So that's the number of times a user on the web would see your ad, not necessarily click on it. So an impression is just when they see your ad. Keyword, that's obvious when it's a word or phrase people type into a search engine to get the results they want. But one thing I wanted to drill in onto that was especially in SEO and even paid search, you'll hear people talk about short tail and long tail keywords. So short tail keywords are, something like buy flowers. The users just typing up, they just want to get flowers for their girlfriend or boyfriend. They type that up. Long tail is when the user has much more specific intent. So a long tail example would be long stem red roses near me. So they know exactly the product they want. They're even probably lower in the funnel than the buy flowers. But the other thing about that when it comes to paid search is the more long tail, a lot of times the less competition. So in the life insurance example, like before, if somebody types up term life, or if you're bidding on the term life, tons of people are going to be bidding on that. The big players out there will be bidding on it. But you may have a chance of getting a lower bid rate on something like term life insurance people over 40. Then that way, it's much more specific, less competition for that keyword, more likely that you'll be able to, if it's SEO, rank for it, or paid search, buy that keyword with less expensive than a or a short tail like term life would be. Over here, moving into different traffic sources. Organic traffic is free visits to the site by keyword searches. When people talk about paid traffic, they're talking about visits to the site driven by paid ads. So whether it's somebody that clicks on a social link to your site, clicks on a display ad, clicks on a paid search ad, that's all called paid traffic. SEO, obviously search engine optimization. Just recapping that, I know we had a whole class on that. SEM, search engine marketing. Now, paid search is the advertising channel that goes by many names. When people are talking about PPC, paid search, search engine marketing, they're all talking about paid search. Because usually, it is based on clicks, and these are just basically all ways of saying paid search. The SERP, as we mentioned before, is the search engine results page. That's when you type in a keyword, the page you see in Google that gives you the results. That's the search engine results page. Another word you'll hear a lot is the landing page. That's the landing page is the web page a person lands on. So that's a way to remember it. It's the web page a person lands on after clicking through the ad links. The best practice there is to have some good, strong calls to action once people come through the landing page. And I know we touched on landing page best practices in an earlier session there. Now, this by no way is an exhaustive list of digital marketing terms, but it's the ones I believe you'll see most often, and at least gives you a good foundation in a lot of the lingo and words you'll hear. I'm sure online, if you look up, digital marketing terms, digital marketing term lists, you'll probably find some good comprehensive lists. These are the ones, I've been working in advertising a long time, and I just figured let's stick to a amount that is absorbable and is the most common that you'll come across. I would think that if you're entering the digital marketing field and you have a solid grasp of these terms, that gives you a good solid foundation to grow from there. And that's what the big point of this class is, give you a good solid foundation in digital marketing. That's what I strive to do every day in this class.